Good morning, Liverpool, and welcome. I love a good standing order. It brings me back to my union days. This year's conference comes at a momentous time for our party and a pivotal moment for our country, just days after Labour's huge win in Rutherglen. Annas, my friend, we are all so proud of the positive campaign you and Michael ran. Years of hard work led to the people of Rutherglen putting their faith in Labour this week. A watershed moment. Now conference. No offence, but I hope this is the last speech you'll hear from me on this podium before a general election. Because just like you, I am sick of being in opposition. When you elected me 3.5 years ago, it was the honour of my life. But you didn't elect me to be Deputy Leader of the Opposition. You elected me to be Deputy Prime Minister of a Labour government. A Labour government that will transform people's lives like the last Labour government changed my own. Now, we have a great week in store, but it comes after one where we saw the chaotic face of today's Tory party. They've had quite a year since we last met. The leader who lost to a lettuce, the chancellor who forgot his own tax return and forgot to declare it too, Gavin Williamson, forced to resign because he turned out to be a bully. Who knew? Dominic Raab, also forced to resign as a bully. I think everyone knew that one, except the Prime Minister, apparently. And there's the Home Secretary, sacked as a threat to national security. The same Home Secretary reappointed next week. I think they call that time served. Apparently, she believes in the rehabilitation of offenders after all. And now we have a Prime Minister refusing to hand over his WhatsApp messages. I assume Jacob Rees-Mogg also refused to hand over his carrier pigeon. Conference, throughout all of it, the Prime Minister simply can't stand up for the country against his party. He's apparently planning another reshuffle. Maybe that's why he thinks we're offering him 7 different bins for different kinds of rubbish. And of course, at their conference, Liz Truss was back. But one thing did become clear last week. We all know that he's just Ken in her Barbie world. And what a contrast we are to the Tories. With Keir at the helm, Labour's shadow cabinet is hungry for change. And I might be a little bit biased, but I think my team are shining stars. I lead a formidable front bench with Matt, Sarah, Flo, Paula, Mike, Nav, Mary, Sharon, Sue, Amwaj, and Justin and Imran leading on the New Deal for working people. At conference, I also want to pay tribute to the woman who paved the way for Labour's bold housing and levelling up vision with grit and determination, Lisa Nandy. The reality is that Labour is already delivering in power. From our elected mayors to our local authority leaders or the Labour government in Wales. Our movement has never been so unified, so focused around one aim, to give Britain its future back. But the Tories also have one singular focus, to desperately cling on to power. That's why the Tories' Levelling Up project was dead on arrival. You cannot level up from the top down. The Tories only know how to centralise power and hold wealth where it benefits them. And it's under their watch the places that once built Britain have been abandoned. Communities crumbling, high streets emptying, rising crime. Streets that were once bursting with pride, shut down, boarded up, denied a brighter future, rents that are skyrocketing, mortgages soaring, where work doesn't pay. It's that lingering sense that Britain is broken. Collateral damage from the swing of the Tories' wrecking ball. For the Conservatives, growth isn't for everyone. It means the jobs for the boys, a free ride for vested interests, the super rich, the non-doms, water bosses. But our proud United Kingdom, that once spearheaded the industrial world, was not a trickle-down nation. It was a country where innovation and growth rose up from the ports, the factories, the warehouses in Hartlepool, Humber and Teesside. In my lifetime, growth used to be in the hands of the workers and communities that built Britain. From their graft came wealth. But today, working people are grafting while ministers in their ivory tower in Whitehall. The truth is, and I'm not afraid to say it, it's a responsible government that recognises their role in providing stability in people's lives. But stability has been smashed at the hands of this Prime Minister, who in his conference speech spent an hour rallying against plots and controversies that don't exist, worshipping at the altar of Liz Truss, a government that has gone off the rails quite literally in the north. The Prime Minister's speech didn't even mention housing once. No doubt, that's because his housing policy is the same as his new smoking policy. Increase the prices year on year so eventually no one can buy. The truth is, looking down from his private jet, Rishi Sunak can't understand why young people can't get on the housing ladder. Don't forget, this is the man who boasted about snatching taxpayers' money from deprived areas and funneling it into wealthy ones. He tells working people they're just lacking aspiration. They aren't working hard enough. All the while, people are kept up at night by the pit in their stomach, whether their paycheck will cover the bills or be enough to keep the roof over their heads, or whether their children will ever earn enough to be free from the same anxiety which keeps them up at night. That's because Rishi Sunak and his party have taken a sledgehammer to the foundations on which a good life can be built. And now the simple things in life are crumbling. A decent job, a secure, affordable home, and a strong community. Simple things this government has snatched away from working people. And conference. We can't go on like this any longer. The Tories are not only talking Britain down, they've dragged us down and they're holding us back. And this is why Labour's first and most important mission in government is to grow the economy. Growth under a Labour government will be in all places for all people. Growth in the hands of the communities and the people that built Britain. To once again provide a decent work, secure home and strong communities. To truly level up our country. Building a strong community doesn't mean making everywhere look the same. It means real choices put in people's hands. Giving powers to our elected local leaders, the people who know their communities best. New devolved powers on skills, employment support, transport and of course new housing. This is how Labour will give local people control of their futures. And we know this can and will work because the march to devolution of the last Labour government has been an almighty success. Our mayors Sadiq, Andy, Steve and Tracy continue to champion locally controlled transport, delivering cheaper tickets at a time where everything else is more expensive. Mark Drakeford our First Minister of Wales, has shown the power of devolved leadership on skills with bold action to ensure that young people across Wales have access to work, education and training. Conference, we seek power. We seek power so we can hand it back to the people. That's the Labour way. It belongs to them, not us. But that also means recognising who is in the engine room of Britain's economy. Labour has a long and proud history of being the party of working people and the party for working people. We believe everyone deserves a fair day's pay for a fair day's work, and to have enough spare at the end of the month to enjoy the fruits of their labour, for bread and, yes, roses too. But under the Conservatives, too often, work doesn't pay. The Tories' low-wage economy, stagnant productivity and tumbling business investment. Everything about this is bad for workers, bad for businesses and bad for our economy. Now, Conference, I'm proud that the last Labour government created the national minimum wage. Back then, the Tories hated it. They said it would crash the economy. How wrong they were. But so much of Labour's progress has since been reversed. Young adult workers are getting a raw deal when their bills are as high as everyone else's. There's no doubt we need to raise the floor on wages and build lasting change. But it's only Labour that can make that work. With a genuine living wage that working people can actually live on, we will change the Low Pay Commission's remit so that the minimum wage will for the first time take account of the cost of living. Conference, and I've heard some rumours that we'll be watering down our New Deal for working people. Be in no doubt, not with Keir and I at the helm. We will ban zero-hour contracts, end fire and rehire, and give workers rights from day one. We'll go further and faster in closing the gender pay gap, make work more family-friendly and tackle sexual harassment, and we won't stop there. We'll ensure that unions can stand up for their members. We'll boost collective bargaining to improve workers' pay terms and conditions. And make no mistake, this is an agenda that will deliver hand in hand with the trade union movement, as we will work with businesses too, because they know a good modern labour market is good for growth. Conference, Labour's New Deal for working people is our plan to boost wages, make work more secure and support working people to thrive. This is how Labour will make work pay. And this is what Keir has asked me to do. And this work has already started. But it can only be completed with Labour in power. And as Deputy Prime Minister, I will personally table the legislation implementing our New Deal within 100 days of taking office. And let there be no doubt about my determination. And I have no fear of winning that argument in an election either. Last week, the people of Rutherglen and Hamilton West voted to make work pay. Let's give the people of our whole country the same chance to do the same. But Conference, good wages and protections aren't enough if every penny goes simply on keeping a roof over your head, if you live in damp, cramped housing or have no home at all. Safe, secure, affordable housing is no longer the foundation on which people can rely. That foundation of a good life, decent wages, strong communities and affordable homes crumbles in Tory Britain. Too many people are stuck paying unaffordable private rents or living the nightmare of a home wrapped in flammable cladding, whilst leaseholders linger in a system left over from the Middle Ages. The dream of home ownership is slipping away, as more than 1 million families wait for social housing. Over the last 13 years, Tory ministers sold or demolished more than double the number of social homes that they delivered. Families who need a council house are often stuck in cramped temporary accommodation or at the mercy of private landlords. And this summer, Michael Gove handed back almost £2 billion destined for affordable housing to the Treasury because he couldn't spend it. A Labour government would right this wrong. We know a secure home is like a secure job, is a game changer and crucial foundation for a good life. That's why we will get social homes built, brick by brick, building not just homes, but also communities. And I'll get my hard hat and high vis on if I have to. I pledge to you today, Keir and I will deliver the biggest boost in affordable and social housing for a generation. A conference that includes council housing. Conference, the Tories look down on people living in social housing. Well, I say, let's stare right back and never be ashamed. A council house changed my life. And so here's what Labour is going to do. We'll start by salvaging the system that the Tories have taken a sledgehammer to. Where the Tories have snatched billions from affordable housing, Labour will unlock government grants to deliver new homes by making the Affordable Homes programme more flexible so that every penny gets out the door to build the homes that people need. And by working with our local leaders who know their areas best, we'll use these funds more effectively. And second, we will strengthen the rules to prevent developers from wriggling out of their responsibilities, and we will speed up the building of new, social and affordable housing. We'll do this by reforming the planning system. Elected local leaders will be given the powers they need to stand up to vested interests in building new developments through a specialist government take-back control unit that will work with them to rebalance the scales. And conference, we will provide stability and certainty for the affordable and social housing market so their confidence is there to invest. Affordable and social council houses aren't just a nice add-on, they're fundamental to securing decent homes for all, a hammer to smash the class ceiling and a linchpin of the economy. They are quicker to occupy and build and to get the growth that we need and create reliable, well-paid and highly skilled jobs in the process. But that's not all. Labour will achieve rental reform where the Tories have failed for 4.5 years. Finishing the job by banning no-fault evictions. And we'll give first-time buyers first dibs on new developments in their communities with a comprehensive mortgage guarantee scheme for those who don't have access to the bank of mum and dad. And we'll end the medieval leasehold system with root and branch reforms. We will deliver planning reform to build the houses the next generation so desperately needs. It's Labour that is the party of home ownership, because we understand what it means to make your home, to start a family and to get on in life. And I know the difference a decent wage and secure home can make. It was a Labour government that introduced the minimum wage that improved my income. A Labour government built the council houses. I got the keys to my first home to security. A Labour government that introduced equal pay, and I started to save money. The Labour government took me from a council estate to the parliamentary estate. And conference, that's where my Labour values come from, and my confidence to succeed. Ever since those days, to all the people who have underestimated me throughout my life, I've always said, watch this space. So I say to anyone who feels written off and looked down on, I've got your back. Labour is on your side. Conference, the Tories last week not only showed that they were not on your side, they showed they're not fit to govern. It's not just that they don't have a plan, frankly, they don't have a clue. And they can't solve the country's problems because they are the problem. They've broken Britain. And they've left working people paying the price. We don't just know Britain can be better than this. We have a plan to make it better. Not short-term sticking plaster solutions, but a mission-driven government. So you'll see that plan from us this week. A different kind of economy, where better living standards for all are how we drive growth and why we will drive growth. That repairs and revives our broken public services and provides a secure job, decent pay, strong communities, and a home of your own, the foundations on which a good life is built. Conference earlier, I quoted one of the great anthems of our movement. It was a woman trade unionist, Helen Todd, who first demanded bread and roses too. A century ago, she wanted the right to vote and something worth voting for. In her words, that bread and roses be the heritage of every child that is born in this country, in a government of which she has a voice. Conference, our mission as a movement is the same now as it was then. So let us fulfill it. Let's make it our legacy for every child in this country once more. And let us be the government where they can find their voice and follow their dreams. Thank you.